This conference will now be recorded.
Just 1 minute. I will share my screen. I'm just preparing a small screenshot. For your reference. Okay. So before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Ram. I'm working as a senior Salesforce technical architect in one of the well-known organizations, which a team of at least 38 members, I think. Only developers I'm speaking about, not about the testers and all that. That will definitely increase the number. And apart from this, I'm having experience of around close to 13 years, I would say, and working in Salesforce from past close to 13 years with a training experience of around 7.5 or 8 years, not more than that, I would say. But trained close to 3,000 people already in Salesforce. That too only on mainly on the online trainings and all. We just start presenting. Let me know if you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. So today, more or less, I'll speak about this presentation itself. So we'll be discussing about what is Salesforce, what is cloud computing, what is CRM, and why Salesforce, why not other technologies, and what are the advantages of Salesforce when you go with any other when you compare with any other technologies, and how about the job opportunities, which is very much important to you people, and of course the course content and the amount of days that we might need to close this entire course, along with like what are the advantages that you'll have with career IT. It could be according to the certification or it could be according to your job opportunities. Yeah. Now, okay. So Salesforce is mainly into fourth industrial revolution, that is intelligence. So I think most of you are aware of it, right? Like we started with steam, then went to electricity. People are still thinking that we are into computers, third industrial revolution, but actually we are into artificial industrial revolution, right? But what is this? In third industrial revolution, if I want to do something, like I used to ask system to click on up arrow, down arrow, go to the next slide or all. That is where system can understand. But these days, I can sit and I can talk to my system, right? I can ask my Alexa to play a song, and I can ask Siri to navigate me to my office from home, right? All these things can be done through your voice itself, which means the devices started speaking with you, right? So this is where most of the organizations are falling into, and even Salesforce is mainly into this. We do have the analytics as well. Okay. So before we jump into Salesforce or maybe to cloud computing, so we'll see what is there before cloud. Like a very simple example is, hope all of you have traveled at least by bus, very worst case, right? Bus or trains or flights, whatever the medium is. You might have traveled from place A to place B, definitely, right? So if you remember, like somewhere around 80s or 90s, when your parents wants to travel, right? So what they used to do, I still remember when I want to travel from my hometown to, I think I had a small trip to Bombay. So my father took me to a place where some, what is this, travel agency person will be there, and too many people are there in the queue, and we have to stand in the queue for some time. Went to him and asked him, like, we asked him to give me a ticket to Bombay and all. So he took a lot of time. He took, of course, he took a lot of money also as a brokerage. It is like more or less equal to the I think we went the train, the more or less the same price of the train tickets that we booked. And finally, it took around 3 4 days just to get a confirmation of that, right? But these days, it's not like that. Right? I want to travel. Okay, just open your mobile, open any of the application. It could be Amazon, Paytm, whatever. Give your destination or a location, and then book the tickets. Pretty simple, right? So why it is simple now? Why it was tough earlier? Because earlier it was all manual. So our parents used to go manually to that booking center or whatever. This is just a train. Imagine if it is a flight. So generally flights will be there around 40 50 kilometers away from your city. So till there you have to travel, wait in a queue, get the tickets, right? Now using any of your, so why we are going with these applications? So these apps, whether it could be Salesforce or any other XYZ technology. So what is the use of these applications? They basically reduce our manual efforts, right? So earlier, if I have to spend around 4 hours just to get the tickets, these days I can get it in 30 seconds max, including payments, right? That's what the advantage. Now, considering the same thing, like Ram went to a travel agency, book a ticket manually. Looking at this, let us say one of our uh, friends, Pradeep, have seen this. Hello, if you're not speaking, can you mute? Hello, am I audible now? Yeah. Okay. So looking at this, let's say one of our friends, Pradeep, have thought like, okay, I will take this as a use case instead of looking at it as a problem. And he started bringing up an idea saying that, okay, I will build a simple application called Redbus, or maybe a simple application called Make My Trip, which will help the people to start building the, to start booking the tickets. So he looked at it, he found the issue, but Pradeep is still there in 80s or 90s. During that time, no one knows what is cloud and all, right? So the moment you get an idea, you have to start building it. So when you start building it, first of all, you need to know where you need to build, right? So you need that environment. So that environment, you need to do the entire setup, right? This is what is legacy platforms. Any older technologies, apart from cloud, can be called as legacy platforms. Let's say you are using, Pradeep is using maybe Java or something, right? The moment he went to his organization, he gave this idea to his manager. He thought like, okay, let us do something about this. And they started building an environment where they need to buy a hardware, like your server, etc., etc. And they need some software to build this application, right? It's not like I can write the code in Notepad. So I need some software to compile, run the code, all these things, right? Along with user access has to be defined, reports, securities, everything can be done. But this will ideally needs around 6 months to 12 months just to build the initial setup, okay? Not to build the application, right? And that too, here there is one key component called hardware setup. This is where you will buy and install your servers, right? So when you speak about servers, right, where you have to manually install and all, so you will always have to think about number of people who will be using it and the amount of data that can be stored in it, right? Let's say I bought a server which has a capacity of, Praveen thought, okay, it's just in this particular city. At max, the population of the city is 5,000. Very worst case, 1,000 people might travel. For that, 500 people might book. So he thought like, okay, let us go with a server with size of maybe 1,000 user capacity. And they bought a server, things are working. He built the application. Now, Ram have seen this application. It works beautifully because it saved a lot of my time. So I went there and asked Pradeep to book a ticket. It went very well, smooth and going good. But slowly looking at Ram, his friends or his neighbors, they also thought, okay, this was one of the real good application. People started using this. So which means the number of users who wants to use Pradeep's application are increasing day by day. So it further went to the next cities, next cities, and slowly the number started growing beyond 1,000. Then Pradeep cannot say no for this, right? Because the more number of people who are you, if you are using your application, the more amount of revenue it will be generated. But the capacity is 1,000. So server capacity is 1,000, which means at any point of time, the server can respond only to 1,000 people at any point, right? Beyond that, it stops responding. Correct. So then what he have to do if the number grows to 2,000 or 3,000? Obviously, you have to replace the server with a higher capacity, or you might have to do some configurations at the back end by connecting with serial servers or whatever. So increase the capacity. Finally, he increased the capacity. This keep on increasing the number of users because that's the only application that is there on the market, and obviously it has a very good features. Things are went well. Things are going good. After some time, there is one more person called Pratap who has seen this. He is also one of the good software developers. He thought, why can't I do it? So he also built something which is much more advanced. A very simple example, it is giving some coupon codes where it will give you some 20%, 30% of the ticket fares. What will happen? Number of people who are using Pradeep's application will slowly start reducing, and the number of people who are using Pratap's application will slowly start increasing. Now what happens? Nothing happens to Pradeep's application. System is running very good, performance will be good, but the problem is Pradeep started getting losses, right? Why? Because looking at the growth of the business, he has invested a lot. So the moment you speak about servers, it's not a hard disk, right? You have to give a specific room, AC. You have to provide air conditioners. You have to provide the cables, etc., etc. Too much of maintenance will be there. So he did the entire setup, and he is not getting the ROI. It's a loss for him. He can't even sell this off because it's an electronic equipment. The moment you buy, when you want to sell it for the second or in the second hand or whatever in the market, the amount that you'll be getting is less than 50%. So you can't sell it off also. And let's say if there is a drastic number of users started using it, there might be a chance where your server might crash, right? This is what you might have experienced if you are aware, like 5 6 years back when you're trying to book tickets in Indian Railways IRCTC portal. Every time the server used to hang, right? Most of the times. Sometimes it never used a response. Sometimes your access was blocked. Sometimes after logging, you are not able to really block your ticket. After booking, you are not able to go to the payment section. All these things. Why all this was happening? Because they were using a standalone service. That's the problem. Later, now let's say the same example, but we can build it in cloud. Okay, Ram, what is cloud? Cloud is like it is like a a simple example, it's like a hotel. So I'm going to a city, XYZ city. I want to stay there for some time, maybe for a day or a week or a month or a year. So I don't want to buy a house over there. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go for a hotel room. My company will book me a room for there, and I'll use it for whatever the time that I'm there, and then I'll come out. Same thing. You will have a service provider where he'll say, hey, you want a space? I'll give you. You want a networking servers, where virtualization, everything, I will give you. You come, plug and play. You build your application, use it for your purpose, and you leave whenever you want. It's okay. This is what they'll say. So earlier we have discussed about on-premise application where the owner of the application will be building the entire resources as well. But now when it comes to cloud, we have three different clouds again: infrastructure, platform, and software as a service. So each one has its own differences. So we'll see that as well. So in the infrastructure as a service, they'll say they'll give you a space and they'll help you for the virtualization concepts. But they'll say if you want to build your application, no, you bring your own software and then start building that. And if you want to connect with an external system, no, you build your own middleware or any data analysis. All these applications, all these things has to be considered by you only. That's what the infrastructure as a service provider, the service provider will do. Any examples, Ram? Because I was not aware of this. AWS, Amazon Web Services. That is why AWS was little costly. Okay, where it says I'm coming halfway, you have to come to the other half. Then you have something called platform as a service. This fellow, what he'll say, hey, I'll give you everything here. You build your application, you set up your own data, the data structure and all, you do it. But rest all I'll give you. Whether it could be, I'll give you a platform where you just come, log in, build, use, leave. That's it. This is where I would say a simple example is our Salesforce. The first step of Salesforce is on platform. The platform that we'll be using in Salesforce is force.com platform. Okay. So on top of it, we'll start building our applications in future. Okay. There comes your SaaS, where the actual Salesforce licenses will be there. So it will have everything along with your applications. So Ram, what kind of applications? So the name itself says that it is Salesforce, which means it will boost. Force is nothing but boost. Okay, it will boost your sales process. So by default, the moment I buy a Salesforce license or an organization, by default, Salesforce gives me certain applications which will help me to boost the sales process, or it could be service process, anything. So there are a couple of applications like sales, service, marketing, campaigning, multiple applications which are defined at the market standards will be given for free of cost along with the user license that you are buying in the system. And Salesforce will say, yeah, if you want to use this, you use that. Now Pradeep says, no, my thought is something different. I want people to log into my own application, my own screens, my own customized screens, which are not meeting the requirement. Because when I say sales process, a standard sales process, what you'll have in standard sales process, you'll do marketing, people will come for an inquiry, you'll talk to them, convert them to your prospect and then to your customers, then you'll sell your product. This is the standard sales process everywhere, whether you go for a smaller company or for a bigger company, right? More or less the same standards will be there. Someone will say, I don't want, do any, we won't do any marketing. For example, a best example is I haven't seen any ads till date posted by uh, companies like Rolls-Royce or Lamborghini, right? Other companies like Maruti, Suzuki, whatever the other automobile industry organizations are there. Every time they launch, they'll do some campaigning, right? It could be on TV or newspaper, or even in your IPL also you can see some cars, right? So those are all like marketing strategies, right? But have you ever seen this from Rolls Royce? They'll say, no, I don't need it. They don't need it actually, right? So every company will have their own marketing strategy. So it may not be the same sales process that you have to follow, right? For example, I'm harvesting maybe 1 acre of maybe tomatoes. I don't have to do any marketing like the way this Maruti and all are doing. Right? Just talk to a couple of vegetable stores, grocery stores. Tell them that, hey, I'm having an yield of 1 acre tomatoes, and I'll talk about the price. And I'll just simply shift it. Simple. But if I'm starting a manufacturing unit of mobile, then I have to think about the strategies. Then I have to think about the price, the market, see how better I can sell it off, all these things, right? So marketing strategy differs between the product to product. It could be a physical product or it could be a virtual also, like it could be a service also. For example, companies like IBM, Wipro, all these are service based. They won't sell any products, but they'll provide service. So their sales strategy will be little different. But Salesforce says, I'm giving you a standard sales application. If you want to use it, you use it. Now Pradeep says, after listening is, Pradeep said like, no, yeah, I don't want this. I want to build my own application. Salesforce says yes, because as you are buying a Salesforce license, you will be getting a default platform as well. If you want to build the application on this platform, you build it with your own tables that you want. We can define any number of tables also. There is no restriction. Because based on the license that you are buying. Now there is another person. Pratap says, yeah, this is good. My sales strategies are working out here, but only 50% are matching with your sales process. And Salesforce will say, okay, you are allowed to customize the existing sales process also if you want. Finally, there is another person, Krishna says, no. So I also buy, but for me, more or less, this looks same. The same process I'll follow. Like, so I'm starting a manufacturing unit of maybe laptops. It's a brand new laptop, and he wants to sell it out in the market. So he wants to follow standard sales process, like campaigning, then inquiries, then getting the prospects, then converting them to business. You can use this also, which means the same Salesforce license can be used by a similar license can be used by any number of organizations to fit their own purpose. It can be you can use the system as is, or you can customize it, or you can build your own as well. Okay, that is one of the advantages of Salesforce. And these are a couple of examples for every platform. It could be a software platform or an infrastructure. Okay. Can someone tell me what is a CRM? Anyone?
Customer relationship management.
What is it? Is that a tool or an application?
It is an application.
So CRM is actually a process. Okay. So when I learned, even I thought like CRM is some technology or something. At later on, it is like it's just a process which helps the business how to interact with your customers. That's it. That is why you'll have multiple CRM like Microsoft CRM, SAP also a CRM, Salesforce is a CRM, Zoho. You have I think there is something called Zulu also. Lot many people are there, right? So what it says, it CRM is like customer relationship management. It helps you to manage a healthy relationship with your customers so that it will increase your business, right? Why do I maintain a healthy relation? I sold a product, deal is done. I don't have to care what Sirisha does later. The next time when Sindhu, who is the friend of Sirisha, wants to buy a product, Sirisha will say, buy anywhere but not from Ram. Right? One second. Huh? Just give me 1 minute. I'll have a cup of water and come back. One. Hello. Yeah. So Salesforce also follows the CRM process, and it strictly follows. It is built on top of CRM itself, right? So it helps you in all areas, like whether it could be sales or service or marketing or e-commerce, like Amazon you have, right? Like Amazon, Flipkart, and all. So we can also build our own e-commerce websites, and we can sell our products. We can do analysis, and the best part is, if you are an experienced person in IT, you might have heard about something called Mulesoft for many years, right? So any new technology that is coming into the market, one disadvantage with any new technology is integration, connecting with an external system, right? So if I say my the current technology, let's say Salesforce, if I say that this is the only solution that you'll have for any problems, there's the best solution that they'll give, it will say okay. But customers will say, yeah, I have invested millions and millions of dollars on SAP, which is our core database. Can you get the data from SAP and process it and bring it back to say SAP through Salesforce? If I say no, then they'll say, no, no, Ram, in that case, I don't want your Salesforce, or I don't want your super rocket launching technology also. I don't want, because I have already invested. So I'm waiting for an ROI. So unless until your technology speaks, ready to speak at least, with an external system, it is unfit, right? And the biggest advantage of Salesforce is it has one of the powerful tools called Mulesoft, which was acquired by Salesforce around 2 years back for $750 million. So Mulesoft is a separate organization actually. Salesforce acquired it because of the capabilities that Mulesoft is having. Using this, I can connect with any system. You bring any technology, so Mulesoft is capable of connecting. So that's what is the advantage. And we do have employee experience. We are using Salesforce in multiple industries also. So what are the industries now? It is used in education industry, like organizations like Stanford or even Harvard is using Salesforce. It's used in banking sector, like your Citibanks. Not just Citibank, entire Citigroup. Like in India, it is, for us, it's just one bank. But if you go to US, they are into multiple businesses, the financial broking sectors everywhere. Entire, at least 60 to 70% of Citigroup's transactions are completely dependent on Salesforce itself. It is used in oil and gas industries, like British Petroleum. They are using it. They're one of the top 5 energy-based industries in the world. Right? They're using it. It's being used in smaller industries also. For example, a Redbus. Redbus is using a customer of Salesforce. You have seen, right? So it's based on the requirement that you have. It has wide variety of licenses, which starts from $1 to $10,000 per user per month. So based on a requirement, we can make use of the respective license. Okay. And because of these capabilities, it says Salesforce is used for Customer 360 as well, where I can have a bird eye view on my customer. Whatever the customer requires, Salesforce will build it. But I will say that is wrong. Salesforce is not the only solution that for every problem. But I would say if you see there is some data which has to be processed, then Salesforce is the right fit. If you have some data which has to be processed in a well-defined procedure, where you might need some approvals, some auto updates, or maybe email communications during these transactions, and things are to be automated, then Salesforce is the right solution. Okay. And yeah, this is the architecture that Salesforce will follow. It follows multi-tenant architecture, where you will be getting a space inside the Salesforce server. Maybe CTS might be sitting here, maybe Accenture might be sitting here, maybe Wipro might be sitting here, or IBM might be sitting here. But you will have a dedicated space where you will be building your application and you're maintaining your data within this application. Okay. So, and there are some limitations called governor limits, which will make sure you are not overriding others. Okay, that's the advantage of Salesforce. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. Any questions till now?
Yes, I have some questions. Yes, yes. This is Nasmahara Upo. Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have some questions here. So I switched to from full stack to I decided to learn the Salesforce. So what is the advantage? So I am having that .NET framework experience over the development from last 8 years. So if I switch it to the Salesforce, what are the advantages I can have? A specific one. So that is the
Uh,
one question. My second question is comparative with other technologies in market. We have a different. If I learn this specific only the Salesforce, how my jobs visibilities will be there.
Actually, I do have a couple of slides which will specifically speak about this. I'll
Hmm.
definitely, but maybe in 5-10 minutes.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I mean, I have a
Okay,
separate slide about this.
okay, okay, right. Thank you.
Any questions till whatever we had now? Anyone? Now, first thing, let's speak about the advantages as someone asked. First, I'll compare with your legacy system, where we have to build a lot of infrastructure, right? So if I replace this with Salesforce, if Pradeep wants to build the same idea in Salesforce, only thing is he just have to get the license of Salesforce, build it. And the best advantage of Salesforce is, like someone said, like who was experienced in .NET and all, if they want to build any mobile applications, they have to work with some UI designers as well, right? Where they'll make sure the screens are responsive, or even for mobiles or tabs, right? But Salesforce, you don't have to care about. Whatever the applications that you are building, it by default, it fits to the screen that is used by the end user. It could be mobile, or it could be a laptop, or I mean a desktop or a laptop, or even a tab. That is the first advantage for a company. Why? Because now I don't have to think about the UI themers, UI designers, right? So my Salesforce developer or my Salesforce admin is enough for me to build this application. Okay, I'm just telling you like why companies are running behind Salesforce. So let's say I own a company and I have to build this. So earlier, if you go to this place, so I need to set up this entire hardware. For this, I need a space, dedicated space. A server has to be maintained. So which means that I have to have some employees for this. And for installation, software installation, also I should have some networking team, right? At least this rest, or let's say my developers are managing, for example. These two things are simply avoided. And even at the last minute, generally users will come and ask, like, can I enable this on mobile? That is where I have to bring my UIs and designers. That is also not required. Third advantage, and another big advantage is Salesforce is built on PaaS and SaaS, which means platform and software as a service, where you don't have to install any software in your system. Like like the way you log into your Facebook, log into your Salesforce application, build the application, deploy it to production, end users will start using it. Which also means, as the owner of the organization, I don't have to buy high-end laptops for my developers, right? Because they just need internet connection. Like for example, if you consider SAP or even .NET, as someone asked, without installing some software, I cannot build a tool in it, right? And if the moment I say I want to install a software, it will have some prerequisites. It will say, for example, SAP, I think it will consume around 500 GB of your hard disk. Just SAP will consume. Just to install SAP, we need minimum 500 GB of free space in your hard disk just for installation. Forget about the implementation. So that is covered, which means I don't have to think too much about the configuration of my developers, right? They just need a basic laptop with a good amount of internet. That's it. That is the next advantage. So next one, deployments are pretty much easier in Salesforce. You don't have to wait for days and days to do the deployments. You have multiple tools which help you to do the deployments, and Salesforce has inbuilt tools as well. That is the next advantage. As I'm just building as I'm just taking the space in the cloud and building is, the amount of time to build this application got reduced, which is one of the key thing in IT these days. Because in our early days, IBM used to compete with Wipro used to compete with CDS used to compete with some XYZ organization, maybe Deloitte or something. These days, there is nothing like that. No organization is competing with others. They are competing with time. How fast or you can deliver is what matters in IT. And that's the advantage of Salesforce. There are some applications where you can build it in a couple of days or weeks. Why? Because Salesforce has a lot of inbuilt features where you can use them to build the application. Okay. Without writing a single line of code, there are cases where you can build an application without writing a single line of code. That is where Salesforce goes with a slogan called low code or no code also. Okay. Next thing is, okay, Ram, if it is like this, how about security? Have you observed this from past not more than 5 years or 4 years? Gmail, when you're trying to access from a new system, new laptop, it is asking for a verification code which is sent to your mobiles, whether it could be Gmail or Facebook or LinkedIn, anything, right? And did anyone notice, if you're trying to access this your social networking website from a new laptop or a new device, it will ask for a verification code. Did anyone notice that recently? Please. Because it was there in Salesforce from 2008 or 9 itself. So which means, forget about hacking the data. You can't even log into my access even if I give my credentials to you, because it will immediately send a verification code to my personal mail ID with which I have registered. And after logging in, if you want to export the data, you have to connect with a tool called Data Loader, which is the only tool where you can export the data, and which is again needs a token, which is a combination of 18 characters, right? and that cannot be hacked at all because it will be generated randomly. That is one of the advantages of the security in Salesforce, and that is why this fellow, he is the CEO of Salesforce, Mark Benioff. So he started Salesforce in 1990, I think. So he came up with a word called fourth industrial revolution. Starts with very important point, that is trust. So if my customer is not believing Ram that okay, the data may not be safe, definitely he won't come back. That is where you can go back to your browsers, look for like if there is any data breach news about Salesforce till date. Till date, there is no data breach in Salesforce. That is one of the biggest advantages, which never happened in any other technologies here or. Next thing is App Exchange. How many of you are not using smartphones here? Is there anyone who has not used smartphones? No, right? So everyone is using your iPhones or Androids, right? For example, let us say career IT, you have finalized the sessions, things are done. So tomorrow you are about to start. So we have around 20 people in the session. So now career IT want to communicate with all of you. What is the best way? Instead of calling you one by one, what they'll do, they'll simply create a WhatsApp group, add all of you people, and share the details to everyone. Or maybe they'll do a broadcast, either of them, right? Ram, why should I mean, I will say, okay, let's say one of the employees of Career IT is one of the most or best developers, mobile developers in the world. Can they build, he can build a mobile app which helps for the communication. That is also possible. But still, Career IT will go with this WhatsApp approach itself. Why? Because it's a readily available solution. Point number one. And it is reliable. Point number two. And it comes free of cost. Or even if now WhatsApp says that everyone who is using WhatsApp has to pay $1 a month. In fact, $10 a month. At least 60 to 70% of the people who are using WhatsApp now will definitely continue, right? Because of the possibilities or the advantage that we have seen, right? But how this WhatsApp came, I have to go to my app store and install it, right? But you know what? The idea behind App Store, which actually came from Apple, then Google came with Play Store, right? Belongs to him. He is the person who have registered that App Store domain also. But as Steve Jobs is one of his best friends, he has gifted it to him, and he came up with a word called App Exchange. Again, you can go back and search for it. App Store plus Mark Benioff. You'll see the entire news. So App Exchange is one of the marketplace that is available in Salesforce within Salesforce licenses, where you can build an application. If you feel that this is the use case that can be utilized in the market, you can ask Salesforce to review it, and you can upload it in your App Exchange so that other organizations can buy your tool and they can start using it. That's the advantage of your App Exchange, where it will definitely generate some revenues. As of now, these are little older numbers. Okay, I took this slide around 3 years back, but as the slides are pretty good, I just kept it as is. But the numbers, if I'm not wrong, the numbers got done. Looking at the market from past 3 years. Okay, this is also not required. Okay, this is where sales was started, 1999, and as of now, they are a $24 billion company or something. In sorry, $22 billion company or something in 2022, which was announced by Oracle last year. Actually, they are close to some 22 or something, but they are targeting to become a $35 billion company. Sam, why you are not explaining the other things? Why this one? This is okay, right? It just shows you the growth, but here it gives you the numbers. Okay, why I'm interested in numbers? I'm not criticizing anything. Someone said like, I am a .NET developer. I want to switch to Salesforce. So what could be the specific reason for it? Reason is, again, I'm just repeating. I'm not criticizing. This could happen even for Salesforce also. It's for every technology. Okay. So when I started my career, let's say I learned some XYZ technology. I was working in it, and I switched a couple of organizations, and then later I felt like, okay, my salary is not sufficient to my needs. So I thought like, okay, I want to look for a better opportunity. Again, I'll start looking out in the market. Then I got to know this XYZ technology that I'm learning and that I'm working with has less opportunities because people are not using it, or maybe the competition is more here. That could be the second reason, right? Let's say there is one job. This generally happens for our government jobs in India, right? You'll have one job and 1 lakh competitors, which is actually a small number. 1 lakh is also in case in India. But when it comes to Salesforce, it says that the technology itself is growing, which means if Salesforce is going to this big number, this means that many number of projects will be created, that many number of opportunities also will be created. And if you see this spike, there is no downs, only ups. And this is a real thing which is announced by Salesforce. Okay? So it's in 2021, I think. Right? Sorry, they have given it in 19. Right? So if the technology is growing, definitely my chances of increasing my revenue will also grow. Right? That's one main reason I have shown this. And trust me, at least for 1 decade, Salesforce will always be in top. And you can search some images like Gartner scale, which will measure which the technologies Salesforce is staying in the top for the past 3-4 years. Okay, and yeah, coming to the courses. These are the different certification tracks that we have in Salesforce. The person who is working, let's say, I don't know about the coding yet. Like, I'm just a passed out. I don't know much about coding. Let's say for a person like me, because when I started my career, so I was lucky enough to jump into Salesforce with one of my uncle's help. I'm an electronics student, and usually I prefer choosing last bench in my Java classes, even in my first year also. Where I have sight, I used to remove my specs also because I don't even want to look at the board when the Java classes were going. That's that much of interest I was showing towards IT, but somehow I fallen into here. That's secondary. So I don't have any interest, but I was supposed to work when my uncle said like, okay, let's see, there is some small technology called Salesforce, and he has some projects. He asked me to look into them, test that application, which was built by some developers. I said, okay, if it is a tester, I'll just have to look into the UI and do the testing. So within 1 week, I thought like, okay, this is something good, and I started learning it, and I became an admin. When I was doing this admin, I thought the general definition that generally you'll have admin is the person who will work on switches, routers, etc., etc. But this is cloud, right? You don't have switch, you don't have router. What you'll do here, you will build the application. Admin is the person in Salesforce who can control the users, of course, and he can build the application. I can create the tables, I can write the validations, I can build the automations, I can define the approval processes, I can send the alerts automatically. All these things can be done by an admin. That is where I said low code or no code. Clear? So when I say admin, you'll have advanced admin as well, like the next level, senior level. Then I thought, okay, I did both. I was good in this. Then I thought slowly, I still say that I want to learn development, but not too much. Some basics. So that is where you'll have platform builder, app builder. Okay, earlier actually it was developer only, but again, just to showcase, Salesforce came up with a product called app builder. Okay, where you will have a little high level of your developments. But when you say Ram, if an admin can build everything, why you are speaking about developments? Because admin there is no prerequisite for anyone. Okay, but when it comes to development, you should. It will be good. I would say. I won't say you should learn Java because I didn't learn Java. So if you know the basics of object-oriented programming, then it will be great. It will be much more easier. It will be like a cakewalk for you to learn Salesforce if you know object-oriented programming. Okay, but why development? Because the moment I say something which is very much standard or the point and clicks, if you can build, Salesforce comes with some certain standards. Right? And if the customer says no, yeah, this color should be red. Salesforce says the moment if you want to use this pen, you have to use this as blue only. Now customer says I want this in red color, or he wants some automations, like which are little complicated. That is where we'll go with the development. Development is the place where we'll write some languages, where we'll write some Apex classes or components for UI. So that is where we'll learn the development with where the prerequisite is object-oriented programming. Of course, I will give you an introduction about the development before we start. You have to spend around an hour or two. Rest all I will take care in the classes. Okay. Now, someone says, no, Ram, I'm good in this, but I want to be just a consultant. So these are the different consultant roles that we have in sales. It could be community, it could be field service, marketing, RDOT, sales, service, anything. So with whatever the product knowledge that you have, you can pitch into any of the consultant roles that are there in the markets. Coming to development, yes, you do have multiple developers, multiple developers. And if you want to become an architect, so these are the different architect roles that we have. Finally, you will go with the last one, that is technical architect, because I'm done with almost, not almost, actually I'm done with everything. So I'm the technical architect. Okay. I did admin, advanced admins, developers, PD1, PD2, and multiple consultant applications, app builders, and even all architect certifications as well. But if you want to become a specialist in CPQ and all, you do have a CPQ specialist also. Now, Ram, in this course, what are we going to learn? Post this, what certifications can we approach for? Admin, advanced admin, app builder, PD1 or PD2. Okay, these 5 you can get the knowledge here. Okay, but I suggest to go with only one certification because it's waste of money when you go with all before you go for a job. If your company is sponsoring, yes, go for all 5, not a problem. But if you're bringing it from your pocket, the suggestion is go with one. I suggest to go with PD1, and if you don't want code, go with admin, because before advanced admin you have to go with admin. Before PD2 you have to go with PD1. Because a certification is mandatory for any interview. Forget about getting a job. Your profile itself won't be considered if you don't have a certificate on your profile. Okay. Course content. Actually, Career IT will share you the course content. So as I said, I will be discussing each and everything related to admin, advanced admin, PD1 and PD2. And coming to the roles, so these are the different roles that we have. Actually, there is one more at the bottom, which is tester. And yep, these are for basic levels. Okay, I mean, architect as a fresher, architect as a system admin as a fresher. So these are the amount of salaries that people are getting. And again, this slide was 2 years old. If I say this to my developers, if I say this is the package that I'll give to my developers, who is just 3 years, actually one of my juniors in my organization who joined as a fresher in my company, he's at 3 years of experience. He was getting somewhere around 11 or so, if I'm not wrong. He resigned recently, and we thought of retaining him. I was asked to speak with him. I told him like we can give you 21 or 22. He said like Ram, I'm already getting 28 lakhs outside. Just 3 years, remember. He's just having 3 years of experience. He got a package of 27 or 28 in the month. That is how the market is for Salesforce developers. Of course, we do have a good positions for admins, but the problem is I suggest you go for developers itself, because to learn the development, you should know all pros and cons of admin. Okay, which means after completing admin, they'll learn the development. Which means as a owner of the organization, I prefer hiring developers because he can do a job of my admin also. Especially in India, you'll have high advantages with developers when you compare with admins. Okay. So this is all about the course content, and the number of days that we might need is around 40 sessions plus or minus 40, like 50% for admin and 50% for development, and rest all will be informed by career ID. And for any certification, you will be definitely getting a voucher of $40 to $50 voucher post the sessions at the end, which will generally for any certification that you are supposed to do, you have to pay $200 to Salesforce. In that, I'll try to get you a not try. I will definitely give you a voucher of $40. Okay. And finally, about the opportunities, I think Career IT is connected with a couple of organizations, and they are also looking for some freshers and some experienced people also. So if you got trained, you can approach the Career IT. They can help you to refer you on those organizations where if you crack it, you'll definitely get a job as well. Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone?
We have company, Chandra might have told about us, right? So I want to talk to you. We 4 or 5 people are there, so we want to talk to you after this meeting. Can you stay on call?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Is anyone there from Career IT? Okay, you can continue your questions if anyone has anything. I forgot the name. Someone asked some questions in between. So are they answered, or do you still have any other questions? A person from .NET.
Yes, yes, I am cleared. I'm good.
Okay then. Pratap, can you speak with Lakshmi, or I think she's the one who is scheduling this session. Just ask her to schedule a call with me. Okay.
Okay. Sure. I'll ask her to schedule a call. Yeah.
And for others,
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, actually, what is the highest qualification is required to get into the Salesforce?
A basic degree.
No. Can you hear me?
Yep. So a basic degree could be more and more than enough if you are from India.
Actually, I'm as a diploma guy, as a working as a senior design engineer, also from to mechanical background.
Not a problem.
Yeah, actually, I have 6+ years of experience, but I am not have a degree. What it will be work? Like I am as an undergraduate, like I can say diploma.
Okay.
Is it?
See, if you're going for a bigger organization, right, they'll look for a degree, okay, in the initial level. But the other organizations like level 3 companies, they won't. Like if you are having a strong knowledge, that should be enough. And for every other people, right? So I'm not asking you to learn Salesforce as I'm training it. So there is a very good advantage. Oh, just give me a minute. I think my system might shut down. 1 minute. ఇంకా అమ్మ ఫోన్ వస్తుంది. Sorry, I forgot to charge it. Yeah, Sai, you are asking a question, right? Yeah. See, there are some programs which was conducted by Salesforce where people at 4th or 5th standard also started building applications. So your education may not be a concern, but just look for an check with your friends or someone who is proficient in IT just for a confirmation. Okay, so education will definitely be not a concern for Salesforce.
Okay, thank you. I'll just.
Yeah. Any other questions, anyone?
Thank you. Can we leave it? Can we leave?
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
first of all, thanks for joining this on Sunday. I hope I might have given you at least some point, not 1% of knowledge in Salesforce.
It's a very
Hope to see
informative
you again.
session.
So tomorrow, if you're coming, so we'll start with getting a license in Salesforce. It will be a free license, of course. So I'll set up the entire basic environment that we need to have, and then we'll start discussing about some standard applications which is already built in Salesforce. And because first of all, we should be use the system, right, before we build something. So we'll see what is there in Salesforce first, and then we'll start building some application instead of just going with the concepts. The way I train is I'll bring a use case. We'll have an example, maybe in an Excel sheet or something. Because Salesforce is basically an automated Excel sheet, fully automated Excel sheet, I would say, with all validations and all. So we'll build something in Excel, and we'll see how do we push this into Salesforce. Maybe any travel agency applications, or maybe any banking sectors, anything. We'll bring it on Salesforce. We'll see how it works by including each and every concepts that are there in admin or development, so that by end of our sessions, you will have a full-fledged application within your system. So you don't have to think about, okay, did I got a project at the end of my session or not? Because I don't believe in documents, to be honest. Because this I have seen lot many technologies or lot many trainers. Well, they'll give you a project at the end. They'll ask you to refer this, and they'll say, okay, this feature was discussed in 6th session of my initial demo, or 6th minute or 7th minute of my initial demo. I don't want to repeat that, but by end of our sessions, you must have an application in your own access itself. And of course, documents will be there by default. That's secondary. You can refer them. Yeah, having a working product in my hand is more better, or is far better when you compare with a Word document in my system, is what I believe, and I'll go with this option in general. Yeah, and most of the times you people will be sharing screens more rather than me, so things will be built by you people, not by me. Yeah, that's all. See you tomorrow. Bye everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.